probably already know, some of you may not, but the way that we divide the student body amongst the guidance counselors is by last name. So I'm responsible for the students whose last names begin with A through D, and I will follow your students all the way through graduation. We keep our group of students, so we get to know them very well, particularly as they're here for more and more years. I'm speaking tonight about graduation requirements. So if you are looking at the packet that has the colored papers, I'm just going to touch on the first paper, the yellow paper, the year by year checklist. I am a planner, an organizer, a list checker offer, and so I thought I would attach this list just so that you guys have some kind of plan to follow throughout your student high school career. There's the information that you should be looking at is you have freshmen and sophomores and then juniors, and then the back side is all of the senior information. So as you're getting closer and closer to graduation, you do have a little bit more to kind of be taken care of and checking off. So I just wanted to touch on that. And then the green paper and the pink paper are the two that I'll be talking about. The green paper is the state Department of Education graduation requirement paper. You can find this on the state DO website. There's some good information on the front and back of that. But we have it broken down on the pink sheet. This is the credit checklist sheet, and this is what we as counselors keep for every one of your students. Just to make sure that all of the students here have all of the requirements they need for graduation. On the front, you'll see just a checklist that as your students go through high school, you can check off the classes that they take. And on the back, it's more of an outline form. So, just to kind of briefly, there's a lot of information you're going to be getting tonight. Just to briefly go over the graduation requirements, there are basically three categories of requirements. Your students have to have the correct classes, they have to have the correct GPA, and they have to pass the appropriate state assessments. So as far as the classes go, they are required to have 24 credits in order to graduate in the state of Florida. Those are broken down by subject: 4 English, 4 math, 1 math has to be algebra, 1 math has to be geometry, 3 sciences, 1 of which has to be biology, and 3 social studies. Those will be world history, U.S. history, and then economics and government are each semester classes, typically the student's senior year. In addition to that, students are required to take a HOPE class, which is the Health PE class. Several of your students have probably already taken that. They are required to have a practical performing art class, such as our CCC class we have, drama, band, art, chorus, color guard, all of those that satisfy that practical art requirement. And then there's 8 electives that just kind of fall into place after all of those 4 classes are met. Let me just mention, foreign language is not required for graduation in the state of Florida. However, if your child is going for the Bright Future Scholarship, they will need 2 years of foreign language, and we will have someone speaking about the Bright Future Scholarship shortly. And if they're planning on attending a large 4-year university, they will need those 2 years of foreign language before they're accepted there. So something just to keep in mind as your student goes closer and closer to college. Those are the course requirements. As counselors, we meet your students, we make sure that they are taking the correct classes. So as long as they're doing what they need to do, which is passing all of their classes, then we're making sure that they are in those classes that they need. But again, you can have a checklist, and you can just kind of keep an eye on it as you go through and kind of plan on the classes you want your children to take. The second category I mentioned was they do have to have the GPA. They're required to have a 2.0 GPA in order to graduate in the state of Florida. Again, you'll be notified if your student falls below that 2.0. As counselors, we have suggestions to bring GPAs up, so we do meet with those students who are in jeopardy of falling below that 2.0 GPA. So we are keeping an eye on your students all the way through. And then the final category that I spoke about was the correct state assessments. Basically, there's 2 state assessments that your students have to pass in order to graduate. The first one is the algebra end of course exam, and they take that at the end of the year that they are taking algebra, either algebra 1 or algebra 1B. That's a required, it's a pass-fail assessment that they do have to have in order to graduate. And the second one is the grade 10 FSA ELA test that will be coming up in the spring. That's the old FCAT reading that we always have talked about and heard about. So those are the 2 required state assessments that students have to pass in order to graduate. There are other state assessments. There is a grade 9 FSA ELA that students take. There are end-of-course exams for other courses. Geometry, Algebra 2, Biology, U.S. History, all have end-of-course exams, and those factor into your students' grades. So those are the basic requirements for graduation purposes. On the back of the pink sheet, I just kind of reiterated, they are required to have 24 credits. At this time, we have 6 classes a day, which allows students to earn 6 credits a year. For 4 years, that gets them the 24 credits, which also means that you have to pass every class. At the bottom of the page, number 2, I did speak about the options to recover credit. So if your student did mess up somewhere along the way, and they do have to recover one of those classes, or if they failed a class and they have to make it up, there are some options down there. Again, we meet face-to-face with all of your students who have put themselves in a position to have to do a little bit extra in order to graduate. We meet with them, we send letters home, so you as parents should be informed that your students are also informed in a face-to-face meeting with their counselor. So that is graduation requirements. I think that kind of wraps up what I have here, and we look forward to continuing to work with your students. And Ms. Kelly will come up next to speak about the next item on the agenda.
Working with students that have a last name E through K next year, so I'm looking forward to working with them. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email me throughout the year, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on Bright Futures, so if you'll turn the light blue handout in your packet, we'll go over the requirements so you know what your student has to have. Okay, the Florida Bright Futures has 3 different types of scholarships. They have the Florida Academic, and the Florida Medallion Scholarship, and the Gold Seal Vocational. Tonight we're going to focus on the Florida Academic and the Florida Medallion because that's the 2 most popular ones that we deal with. The credits that Bright Future looks at will be a total of 16 credits. They look at 4 English credits, 4 mathematics credits, 3 science credits, 3 social science credits, and then they have to have 2 foreign languages, and it has to be in the same language. We get this question a lot when my student took Spanish 1 on Florida Virtual School 8th grade year, and then they took Spanish 2 10th grade year. Does that count? Yes, it does. Okay. For the Florida Academic Scholarship, you have to have a certain GPA. It's a 3.5 weighted GPA, and you have to have 100 hours of community service, and you also have to have SAT or ACT scores. They look for 1290 for the SAT and a 29 on the ACT. For the Florida Medallion Scholarship, you have to have a 3.0 GPA and the 16 credits that will win over, 75 hours of community service, and you also have to have SAT or ACT scores. The SAT score is 1170, and the ACT score is a 26. Now, your students should be accruing community service hours, and that can be at the beginning of your 8th grade year, and they can keep those all the way to the day they graduate. Everything has to be submitted to us. You can find a community service hours form on our guidance website. To look at your students' grades through Bright Futures, you can look at FloridaShines.org. That website's listed in the very first paragraph. I would encourage you to do that at the end of each school year. Keep in mind that Bright Futures doesn't update every 9 weeks. It updates once a quarter. Okay? If you look at the bottom, you'll see the 2015-16 award amounts that were for the class of 2015. You can see how much they paid per semester hour. I'll let you look at that. All right, that's it for Bright Futures. The next thing on the agenda I'm going to talk about tonight is our the Pace High School website. This is a great resource, and I encourage parents and students to utilize this. Just a couple of things that you can find on the website would be our student grade portal. And a feature that was added this year is our transcripts. You can look at your child's transcripts. Anything they take in through 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, those classes are listed, the grades they've made, their weighted GPA, their unweighted GPA. All that information is listed there now, so definitely check that out. You can also look at community service hour forms are on here. Announcements, we do a lot of call outs, but the announcements are on the school webpage, so definitely check that out. And then we have career information on the website, ACT, SAT prep, PERT test prep, all of those things are on there. So if you ever have any questions, check out the website first, because it has a lot of good information. Okay, that's all I'm going to be covering tonight, and at this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Jenny Asher to come, and she's going to go over the FAFSA with you. Good evening, everyone. I am Jenny Asher, and I am responsible for students with the last name L through Q. I will be with them all 4 years, and look forward to meeting those that I haven't met yet. I want to talk about the FAFSA, and it is on the back of the blue sheet, so if everybody will turn to that. I'm targeting more towards our current juniors, because you'll be the next one that needs to complete this for next year. As you can see, FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and there's the website there. You may say, oh, I'm not going to need student aid, I'm going to have a scholarship, or, Dad can pay for it, it's not a problem. Fill it out, okay? You don't have to use it, but you never know when something may come up and you need the money for school. So I encourage everybody to do this. And the new thing for the juniors that's different for our current seniors is that you now can apply for the FAFSA as early as October 1st. You used to have to wait till January 1st, like our current seniors now couldn't apply till January 1st, and they had to use the 2015 taxes. Well, now for the juniors, you can apply in October of next year and also still use the 2015 taxes, okay, for that. And that's the new policy with FAFSA. Once you do the FAFSA, you do have to update it every year that you're in college. So I encourage all of you juniors, make sure you do this. Get it filled out next year, starting October 1st. And that way, it'll let you know what loans or what financial aid here is available for you. And at this time, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Peden, and she will talk to you about dual enrollment. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Peden, and I am the guidance counselor for students with last names R through Z. I'm going to be talking to you tonight about dual enrollment, but before I do that, for those of you who are going to be seniors, so my rising seniors, parents, you may want to write down this date. Mrs. Bondurant and Mrs. Sessions asked me to pass this along. May the 16th is going to be a meeting at 6:30 right here in the gym, and that's going to be for the first sign-ups for senior portraits, senior ads, and yearbooks. So 6:30, May the 16th for rising seniors. While you're writing, those of you who may be participating in dual enrollment, either this summer or next year, you may want to go ahead and write these dates down as well. April 1st and April 4th. Those are the registration opening days for PSC. PSC will be April 1st and UWF is April the 4th. That's the first day that you can register for summer courses for PSC and UWF. The week prior to that, March 25th, that's going to be the day on Pensacola State's website where the course offerings are available. So those of you who are already familiar with dual enrollment, the students go online, they look for their course offerings, either on Pensacola State or UWF's website, then they come and make an appointment with their guidance counselor with a trial schedule. So if we're talking, I need to probably back up a little bit. For dual enrollment, I'm just going to kind of back up and give you a little bit of background because I know I have some students who already participated in it and some students who haven't yet. Any student who's going to be participating in dual enrollment either this summer or next school year, you have to, it used to be juniors and seniors primarily, but now anyone from grades 6 through 12 can participate in dual enrollment. You have to have 3 high school, yes, I said 6th grade. You have to have 3 high school credits You have to have a 3.0 unrated GPA, and you have to have scores that show your eligibility in either the ACT, SAT, or the PERT. We had several students go some of our half days the last few weeks that have gone to get their PERT scores to see if they qualify to be eligible for dual enrollment. So if you are thinking that your student's going to participate in that and they don't have their scores yet, they need to see their guidance counselor immediately and go to PSC and get their PERT unless they already have an ACT score for that. On the lavender sheet, it shows you the ACT and the PERT scores that are the eligibility cut scores for them to be able to participate in dual enrollment. And they do have to get a referral form from their guidance counselor. Sometimes a student may have a score, but they may not have all 3 scores. And we can mix and match between SAT, ACT, and PERT, but there is a 30-day wait limit to retest on the PERT. So I say this now, it's really important. If your student is planning to participate in dual enrollment for the summer or the fall, because we're about to be registering for next year's classes, they won't be able to register for any classes unless they have met the eligibility requirements. If they have not taken the PERT, they need to do that immediately. That would also give us, like today is March the 1st, the window for registration is going to be opening right around April the 1st. Actually a little bit before Horizon Seniors. But that would give them another 30-day time window if they need that to retest. So just keep that in mind. Now, the date of March 25th, when PSC opens their website up with the course offerings, that's really important. That week is the week that your students will make their trial schedules. They will make their appointments with one of their counselors, with whichever one of their counselors they have, and that's when they get their paperwork signed. All of that has to be done prior to the April 1st registration opening, because that's the first day that they can take their paperwork to PSC to get registered for classes. I will say that summer classes fill up very fast. Anyone who's thinking about taking foreign language in the summer, those are some of the first classes to fill up, and usually they fill up within the first day. So it's very, 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 very important that you guys have a trial schedule ready and you're ready to come in and meet with us so that we can get your paperwork together. The front of the lavender page is our dual enrollment contract. For any students who've already participated in dual enrollment, we have this contract on file already. You would have already signed it. If there is anything that needs to be updated, at the bottom we like our students' email address and our students' phone number. So if that information needs to be updated, then they can stop by their guidance counselor's office and just update that if we already have the contract on file. If we don't have a contract on file, if your student has not participated in dual enrollment classes off campus yet, then you can go ahead and use this contract that you have. We'll make a copy for you to keep at home, and then we'll keep a copy on our file. I'm not going to go through all of the information because it is very time consuming, but it's very important to know that when a student takes a dual enrollment class, whether it is here at Pace High School with one of our teachers who is an adjunct professor, or whether it's on campus, that is starting a college transcript. Once a student begins a college transcript, that follows them to the grade. So, when we talked about the fact that students as young as 6th grade can take dual enrollment classes, that doesn't necessarily mean that because they have a 3.0 GPA and they pass the eligibility requirements, doesn't necessarily mean that they are ready socially, emotionally, to be able to be on a college campus and start that college transcript. We're seeing more and more students who are younger and younger, or maybe it's more and more parents who are having their students younger and younger, wanting to start their dual enrollment career. But we're also seeing from colleges, and we go once a year in September to meet with all of the Florida admissions officers and for all the Florida public universities, and we're seeing that they're not necessarily interested in having a 16-year-old apply to come to their school that already has an AA degree because they might not really be mature enough. So I just caution you to really have a dialogue with your child and your students with your parents about how important it is that once you start taking college classes, that it follows you. Sometimes we have students that come in our office and I've got all these extracurricular activities, I'm doing these dual enrollment classes, and it's just too much, I need to drop the class because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. Well, unfortunately, withdrawing from a class, it's on your transcript. It follows you just like a failure does. So there's very little, really there's nothing that we can do about that at that point in time. So I just caution you now to really kind of plan out what courses that you think are important that you might want to take as dual enrollment before you graduate. One thing that I would tell you that ENC 1101, which is English Composition 1, that's a prerequisite for very, very, very many courses. That it's a writing emphasis course. On the very back page of that lavender sheet, it shows you most of the general classes in different categories. And there are little asterisks by the courses that have the prerequisite of ENC 1101. So I just want to kind of bring that to your attention. Students who are going to be in grades 10, 11, or 12 next year, actually no, 10th next year, if you're a freshman now, going to be a sophomore and interested in taking a dual enrollment class, in the fall, you're eligible to take 2 classes, and in the spring, you're eligible to take 2, and you're eligible for 1 summer course that will begin this summer. Okay, so my 11th and 12th graders, these are my rising 11th and 12th graders. Next year, you'll be a junior or a senior. If you're going to be a junior, you can take 2 classes this summer, you can take 4 classes in the fall, and you can take 4 classes next spring. My seniors can take 2 classes in the summer, 5 classes in the fall, and 5 classes in the spring. I know it's a lot of information, and I'm just going to leave you with one more thing. In the state of Florida, these course codes, like if you look at this, and when I talk about ENC 1101, English Composition 1, that course is in every course catalog in every public university in the state of Florida. That doesn't necessarily mean that if your child takes ENC 1101 and it's on their college transcript and they apply to FSU or they apply somewhere, well, I won't even talk about Ohio State yet. Even in the state of Florida, they have to take it in the state of Florida, but they might not necessarily use it for the category that you're seeing that they can earn an AA with. I don't want to confuse you, but when you talk about going to out of state, we have a lot of students who go to Troy, we have a lot of students who go to USA. We're talking Alabama schools, even though you get not Florida, but even though you get in-state tuition for those universities, you're talking about an Alabama curriculum versus them taking a dual enrollment class in Florida. That doesn't mean that they get college credit here for us, that they're going to guarantee that they're going to give them college credit. So, when you get ready to apply for college, I strongly encourage you to start having a dialogue, an email, a phone call with undergrad admissions offices in whatever schools that you think you're interested in applying, and say, I'm looking at taking these classes. Are these classes going to be transferable over to your university? Once they start with their college transcript, every semester hour just accumulates and accumulates and accumulates. So taking a lot of classes in high school might not necessarily be beneficial, because then when they get down into their junior and senior year in college, maybe like some of us changed their major a time or 2 or 3, then you get so many accumulated semester hours that you're paying a premium for your college to get finished. So I know it's kind of confusing, but it happens more often than not, especially now that more and more younger students are taking dual enrollment classes. Okay, so hopefully I didn't go way too much into dual enrollment. Please remember, we need this contract back, signed in the updated information for those of you who already have a contract in our office, we need it updated. If we don't have one on you, and you plan to do dual enrollment, we need this contract. If your student doesn't have the appropriate eligibility cut score, then they need to be working on that immediately. I believe this Friday is the last to sign up for the April ACT. That may already even really be too late, because by the time you get those ACT scores back, our registration may be closed for next school year, so I'm not really sure. But I think you're ready to talk about registration. That's what we're doing. All right, thank you.
Before I forget, I'd like to thank a couple groups. We've got our SCA folks here that helped hand out some brochures for us. Please give them an applause. And we also have a gentleman from our ITV group in the middle right here filming this, so we put it online so folks who couldn't be here tonight but had the opportunity to see this for themselves in their comfort of their home. So thank you, ITV. What I'm going to do now, you've got a lot of information that maybe is just bestowed upon you, with some of you saying like, well, they're going to be and that may be true today. But as you go forward through your high school career, and even if you wait until you graduate high school and decide, well, I do want to go to college, or maybe I can't go to college, hopefully the information we give you every year, will benefit you in some manner to where you are a more informed customer, in the higher education process. So it's very important for us that, one, we graduate from high school, or graduate you from high school, but two, that you're ready to go on to your career choices, your college choices, and so forth, because that's what our job is, to make sure you're prepared for those opportunities. What I want to do now is kind of go over our registration process. It's new this year. I hope you've heard about it. In the past, we've done everything with Scantrons and everything in class at school. This year we're doing our registration online. This is a county initiative. All the high schools in the county are doing it, including our middle school 8th grade students who are coming to us next year. Everybody's going to register online. So if you would take out the packet with white paper only, on the front you should see something that says registration information 2016-17. It gives you some dates. There for both registration and night registration. When we talk about the dates for registration, seniors will have the opportunity to register the first week. We do that for a couple reasons. One, they do have priority because they're closest towards graduation, so current 11th grade students will be able to register on March 28th. It actually opens up at 12:01 in the morning, so if you're really taking the initiative, if you want to stay up real late on that Sunday night, you can start at 12:01 in the morning and get the classes you want. Because some of the classes, not the core classes, okay, some of the classes, some of the electives will have a cap size on it to as far as the number of students that are allowed in that class, because we just don't have the section numbers to teach those classes. So if you want a specific elective that you've been waiting 2 or 3 years to get, and now's your opportunity to do it, I would suggest getting on and register as soon as you possibly can, so you get what you want. The core classes we won't close. Obviously, those are the ones that are required for graduation. But this year also, with that said, all of our courses have prerequisites. In the past, we did it through our planners where teachers would sign off, with teaching recommendations, students had grades, and so forth. This year, everything being online, we can set the parameters for the courses. And I'll go over the sheet in the back in the packet, which has the prerequisites on there, and I'll explain what that is. But seniors will be able to register starting March 28th, that's a Monday, first day back from spring break, and they'll be able to register all the way through April 24th. Underclassmen, so current 9th and 10th grade and also 8th grade, will be able to start registration on Monday, April 4th. That also opens up at 12:01 in the middle of the night. So if you're taking that initiative, you can do that as well. That closes also on April 24th. So it's key to make sure that you get the classes you want, you register early. The other thing is, if you do not register, we will choose classes for you that you need to graduate. Okay, so if you don't take the opportunity to register, we will make those classes for you. It probably won't be what you want, okay? It'll be what you need. So please do that for us. I don't want to do that, the ladies don't want to do it, but we have to get the process going so we can set our master schedule this summer and make sure we have enough teachers to teach the courses that we have requests for. You'll see below the dates of night registration. I'll be in the media center on those nights at those times if you need help with the registration process. It's not going to be counseling time where I can tell you you need to take this or need to take that. It's to actually help you with the registration process. You get online if you don't have access at home. We can get online on the computers here. I'll take you through the process, help you get signed up, and hopefully get what you want. But those are opportunities that I'll make available that you can come in for that time that's there. And as long as someone's there, I'll stay. But I want to make sure we afford that opportunity for you. Students can still go to the media center before school. They can go during their lunchtime if the library is open, and they can do registration at that time as well. But this time, it's for parents to come in if they want to come with the student and do the registration at school. This time will be afforded to you. Please also, as one of the counselors mentioned, make sure you look at our website that has the current curriculum guide on there. It's updated as of late as of today. So we're updating it as we see one error, and I hope there's not too many, but as we do make updates, it's going to be current. But right now, I think we've finished making those updates, so what is on there right now is probably what it's going to be. There should not be any additions. You can view that under guidance, and then under registration under guidance, just click that, you'll see the curriculum guide. Okay, we're going to turn to the back of that page. That has the directions for online registration. Like I said, this is a new process this year. You get to this registration through the student portal. And so everybody should have access to the student portal. You get there by going to our website, clicking on the button, and using the 57 student number, and then the PIN that they have, and go in there just like if you're looking for your grades. There'll be a little registration tab. When registration opens up in the right-hand corner, that you'll click it on, and it'll pop open this little tool to use. So all you have to do is just know how to get on. If you don't, check with the teachers, come to guidance, check with us. We can tell students how to get there. If they've never checked their grades before, shame on you. Because it's something that you probably should keep track of all the time anyways. But that's where the actual registration tool is going to be. Now when you get in there, you'll have guidelines, you'll have information on how to do this, you'll have instructions. But as you go through this, most of you will see the following. The first box that pops up will be a question of whether you're an early admit student or not. What that is, are you going to be a full-time dual enrollment student? Yes, no, leave the box alone, go on to the next one if you're not. Okay, so if you're not going to be a full-time dual enrollment student, which the majority of you will not be, you move on to the next part. The next part will be our Lachlan classes. Someone here will be talking about Lachlan classes in a moment, but in that box there, if you want to be a Lachlan student, and there's some requirements for that, you have to be 16, you have to have 2.0 GPA, and please be interested in what you actually sign up for. Because those are career fields that you're making choices that will train you for later on in life. But you can choose one course there and an alternate course program. So that box will open. If you don't want to choose Lachlan, that's fine. The next box, this is probably one of the more important boxes that you hear me talk about, is one about permission classes. And I'll talk more in depth about the different classes we have in a little bit. Just remember this caveat. In the permission box, and you'll see it's very simple to do it online, you will have the option of choosing 0, 1, 2, or 3 permission classes. Permission classes are those that require permission to get in. Okay, and those are tryout classes as well. Okay, SGA classes, yearbook classes, football weight training. Different classes that are required for that. I have a list for you that will be posted in that box also. So if you're going to choose one or more, you would actually click on the numbers, 0, 1, 2, or 3, and then once you do that, then you can actually get into the actual registration for courses. And from there, it'll go through English, it'll go through math, science, social studies, and everything else. until you have clicked 6 credits. If you chose classes from Laughlin, that counts for 3. So you'll be able to choose 3 more courses, okay, from the regular classes, and there will be 4 classes. Because, like Ms. Carroll was talking about graduation requirements, you have to have so many English, so many math, and so forth. You gotta make sure you meet those, because otherwise you won't graduate. Okay, so if you choose Laughlin, you have 3 classes chosen for that, and then you get to choose 3 others. If you don't choose Laughlin, you have a total of 6 classes to choose. And it's based on your performance. Your prerequisites, which, like I said, I'll talk about in a moment when we get to the courses. Your prerequisites are set. So if you're looking to get into an honors course and you've not met the prerequisites for that class will not show up for you to register. So let me use an example of English 3 and English 3 honors. If you're going to be a junior next year and that's the course you're going to choose for your English class, if you are currently in English 2, regular English 2, to get into an honors class, you have to make 90 or higher and to be an honors. If you have an 89, you won't be able to register for that class. Now, one question I hear in my mind, because I've been asked this before, is what if the second semester my student comes back and makes 100, so their overall average is higher than the 90? We can readjust that at that time, but for the registration process, you are only eligible to register for what you actually currently have in your class. If you're in an honors class now, in English 2 honors, you can make an 80 to get into English 3 honors. Okay, so I hope that's kind of self-explanatory. That's pretty much across the board. But I have on that back 3 sheets, I have all those prerequisites written down for you. So as you go through this process, you look at the early admit, you look at the lock-in, you look at the permission classes, you register for your 6 classes. At the very bottom, there's 2 things that are probably very important to this whole process. One is a notes section. If you have any notes that you want your counselor to see, if you sign up for OJT, for DCT OJT, and you need morning or afternoon, put a note in there. If you have a specific need that we need to be aware of, write that note in there. Okay? If there's a course that you did not select because you were not offered that opportunity, write a note that you would hope to take this class, and we can look at that if it's available later on. My key thing is make sure you write notes to your counselor, because that's going to be the best way they know what you want. The other part of the bottom registration is an alternate class choice. There's going to be a place to choose 3 alternate classes. Why is that important? If one of the classes that you did choose does not make for various reasons, we had to change teachers, we lost certification, we didn't have enough students sign up for that class, it does not make in our master schedule, we will go to the first alternate class that you select and put that in place. Okay, and then the process goes from there also. If that first one's not available, we'll go to your second, third. So you can list 3 alternate choices in preference order. So make sure you just don't leave that blank. Because again, what happens if you leave that blank? We'll put you in what we have the least in to make that class make. And it may not be what you want, but we have to do that to fill the schedule. Okay? So that's the registration process. At the bottom you'll have, I believe it's the save button. The nice thing about the registration is if you go to sign up on the 6th day of registration and a class that you wanted, elective mainly, was not available, and there'll be a note to the side of that class if it's full, you can go back in and check daily to see if someone might have dropped out of that class, and then you can go back in and register for that class. So once you get done that first time, you can go back in and keep checking to see what classes become available and may have opened back up that were originally closed. So the registration won't close for anyone officially until the night of the 24th at midnight. Okay, so you have all that time to go back in and make adjustments. So I would advise if you have a class that you did want and it did not make, or it was full, you go back and keep checking before the end, and that way you can maybe get what you would like. What I'd like to do now is if you turn to the next page, in the next 3 pages, we'll come back to the last page, has this material on right here. You notice it has the courses on the left, and has the prerequisites on the right, and it's broken up by subject area. Okay, these are the prerequisites that I will be entering in the computer for students to be eligible for that class. So you should be able to go online right now, look at your grades from the first semester, and plan on what you will be eligible for based on this information right here. Okay? With the understanding that if you're in class and your grade comes above where you become eligible for something you're not eligible for right now, then we can discuss that at that time, and we can readjust it for the core classes. Okay? For the elective classes, it may be tough because of the size limits we might have for those classes. But the core classes, we will not adjust until we actually finalize everything, probably in June. Okay? If you would turn to the very back sheet, this one right here, on the very top it says electives, and there's some electives listed there, but if you notice on the bottom of it, it says application for IEP required electives. These were the permission classes I was talking about earlier. If you notice, we have 24 various courses that require some type of permission to even be able to register for. So you will not see any of those courses available to you to sign up for in the registration process. You have to go back to the very top. Remember when I talked about the permission classes, if you decide that you think you're going to be in something, and you should know whether you're in it now or have a good chance to be in it next year, you'll need to talk to that sponsor, that coach, that teacher for these classes and find out what their requirements are as far as their application process, or their tryouts, whatever it be. To get into those classes, you need to make sure that you find out what that is, what the time frame is. Some are starting now as far as applications. Others will have tryouts in April. Some will actually have tryouts after registration is closed. But you need to actually make sure you designate 0, 1, 2, or 3 permission classes in your registration process, because that's basically holding your spot in your schedule for one of those or more than one of those classes. So if you're going to be in a permission class or think you are or plan on being, then you need to register for that. Now, with that said, if you sign up for something, I beat SGA to death sometimes. If you sign up for SGA, but you don't end up getting the SGA, we're not going to call you to find out what you want to be in. What do you think we're going to go to? The alternate list. Okay, so that's why that's very important that you put down the preferences in order that you want an elective. So that if you don't get that permission class that you want, that first choice that you list, that's the one we're going to try to put you in. Okay? So it's very important to understand that. At this time, what I'd like to do, I'm not taking questions yet, but I will. This time what I'd like to do is introduce some of the folks to you, and after we're done here, I've got a few other people that are going to come and talk. I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk to the people behind me. If you have any specific questions, you can ask them. I said this the other night to the folks sitting in the stands also. These people are volunteering their time tonight. They're not on the clock. So please try not to hold them up too long. Get your questions answered, but please respect their time for volunteering to be here, because they did not have to be. What I like to do is, when I call your name, please stand up and wave your hand. Ms. Slinker for English, Ms. Denny for math, Mr. Gill for science, Ms. Dawson, Ms. Jernigan for social studies, Coach Hughes for physical education, Ms. Bondurant for career and technical education, Ms. True for Spanish, Mr. De Niro for performing arts, Ms. Tracy for visual arts, First Sergeant Baker for Navy ROTC, and Ms. Katie Fredmore for Law and Technical Center. Okay, this time, first started making, wanted to remind everybody that even though if you were not in RTC as a freshman, you can still sign up and become part of RTC if you choose to. You know, they're very competitive in what they do, and they take a lot of pride in what they do, so he's here to answer any questions if you need that. What I'd like to do at this time is introduce Ms. Tracy. She's going to speak a little bit about our program.
I just want to speak because there's some students who might want to skip like the beginning class of art because they feel they have skills and they want to go forward. We do offer a portfolio review, so if that's something you're interested in, come talk to me. We just submit a portfolio of work and we look at that to see if you have the skills to advance. So come see me if you're interested.
I'd like to introduce Ms. Katie Predmore from Lockwood Technical Center.
Thank you. Good to be here. We have a lot of programs to offer high school students at Lockland. We also have programs for adults, but tonight I'm just going to talk about the ones for high school students. I'm going to go through the list quickly because I know you guys want to get home too. We have an air conditioning, heating, refrigeration class. I know we all like air conditioning. We all like our food refrigerated. So you've got a job there if that's something that interests you. We have an electrical class. We have a legal and medical administrative specialist class. We have automotive maintenance and light repair. We have welding technology, and those two classes, just in the last 2 years, we have started just straight high school classes because we have so much interest in those, so that we can fit probably about 50 students in each class. They fill up really fast. They're really good classes. We have a new class this year, electrical instrumentation and technology. That's a great class. Not used to using a microphone. We have applied cybersecurity, computer systems, information technology, culinary arts, pre-nursing, and pharmacy technician. Our classes are available as a high school option, and many are available as a dual enrollment option. The dual enrollment for career technical is different than the dual enrollment that Ms. Keating was talking about. Our dual enrollment GPA requirement is a 2.0, and you are working in a career and adult technical field career certificate program. Some of these programs do articulate to college credit. That's something that you can talk to your guidance counselor about or me. And we hope to see you all. Please come on out and learn and train.